In a world of evolving scams and digital threats, knowledge is your strongest defense. Welcome to Michael Cyber Shield. Stay informed, stay protected, stay one step ahead.
Completely ordinary afternoon. 20 minutes later, she believed she was protecting her retirement savings. A few hours after that, thousands of dollars were gone. And the most unsettling part? The caller didn't sound suspicious. He sounded helpful. If you care about protecting your money, your retirement, your bank accounts, and your future, subscribe right now. This channel is dedicated to helping people stay informed about risks that often target older adults before those risks turn into expensive mistakes. Now, you might think, I would never fall for something like that. A lot of people think the same thing. But today's scam isn't built around tricking careless people. It's built around tricking careful people. That's why I want you to stay with me until the end of this video. Because the scam we're talking about today has affected retirees, working adults, professionals, and people who consider themselves financially cautious. And there are several warning signs that most people don't recognize until it's too late. The good news is that once you understand how this works, you become much harder to fool. And that's important right now because phone scams continue to evolve. Criminals constantly adjust their tactics. They study human behavior. They learn what creates urgency. They learn what creates trust. And unfortunately, many people never hear about these tactics until after money has already disappeared. That's one reason this channel exists. We break down important financial risks, consumer alerts, and real-world situations in simple language so you can stay informed and protected. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is exactly the kind of information you'll want to keep receiving. But here's what most people don't know. Many modern scams don't begin with a request for money. They begin with a request for help. Think about that. The story that inspired this discussion follows a pattern reported by consumer protection agencies and law enforcement across the country. A person receives a phone call. The caller claims to be from a bank, or a fraud department, or a government agency, or a major retailer. Sometimes they even appear to be calling from a legitimate phone number. The caller sounds calm, professional, respectful. Nothing seems unusual. Then they deliver the first piece of bad news. They tell the person that suspicious activity has been detected. Maybe someone tried to access an account. Maybe a purchase appears fraudulent. Maybe personal information has been compromised. Maybe there's concern about identity theft. Now, imagine you're retired. You've spent decades building your savings. You've worked hard. You've been careful. You don't want criminals getting access to your money. So when somebody calls and says they're trying to help protect your account, your natural reaction isn't suspicion, it's attention. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. What happens next is important. The caller begins creating urgency, not panic, urgency. There's a difference. The best scammers understand that extreme panic can make people hang up. So instead, they create controlled urgency. They say things like, "We need to act quickly. Your account may be at risk. We need to verify some information. We're trying to stop unauthorized activity." Notice how reasonable those statements sound. That's what makes them dangerous, because there's something else happening behind the scenes. The caller is slowly positioning themselves as a trusted authority. And once trust is established, people become more willing to follow instructions. This isn't about intelligence. It's psychology. Even highly educated people have fallen victim to scams because trust affects decision-making. Now imagine the caller already knows your name. Maybe they know your address. Maybe they know where you bank. Maybe they know the last 4 digits of a phone number. Suddenly, the call feels legitimate. You think, how could a scammer know all that? Well, unfortunately, personal information is often available through data breaches, public records, social media, or information purchased on underground markets. So information that feels private may not actually be private. And here's the surprising part. Sometimes scammers don't need much information at all. they only need enough to sound convincing. Once they gain your confidence, they start asking questions. Small questions, harmless questions. At least they seem harmless. Maybe they ask you to verify account details. Maybe they ask for a code sent to your phone. Maybe they ask you to log into an account. Maybe they ask you to confirm personal information. Each step feels minor. Each step seems reasonable. And that's where mistakes happen. Because most people aren't evaluating each individual request. They're evaluating the overall feeling of the conversation. If the caller feels trustworthy, the requests feel trustworthy. That's how people get pulled deeper into the scam. But don't make a decision yet, because there's another tactic that has become extremely common. The caller may tell you not to speak with anyone else. Think about that for a moment. Anytime someone pressures you to keep financial matters secret, a warning light should immediately turn on. Real banks, government agencies, and legitimate organizations generally do not instruct customers to isolate themselves from trusted family members or advisors. Scammers, on the other hand, often want privacy. Why? Because outside opinions can break the illusion. A spouse might recognize the scam. An adult child might recognize the scam. A banker might recognize the scam. The scammer knows this. So they try to keep control of the conversation. Sometimes they stay on the phone for hours. Believe it or not, there have been reports of victims remaining on calls for extended periods while scammers guide them through a series of actions. That may sound unbelievable. But when someone believes they're protecting their life savings, they're often willing to follow instructions carefully. The bigger issue is that many scams now involve technology that makes deception easier than ever. Caller ID spoofing is one example. A phone number appearing on your screen is not always proof of who's calling. Scammers can sometimes manipulate the information displayed, so even if the number looks familiar, caution is still necessary. This surprises many people. For years, we were taught to trust familiar numbers. Today, that assumption can create risk. And that's not the worst part. Artificial intelligence has introduced new challenges. Consumer protection experts have warned about AI-generated voices and increasingly sophisticated impersonation attempts. While not every scam uses AI, the technology is becoming more accessible. Imagine receiving a call that sounds remarkably convincing. Imagine hearing details that make the caller seem legitimate. Imagine being pressured to act quickly. You can see why awareness matters. Now, I want to talk about one of the most expensive mistakes people make: sending money to themselves. That sounds strange, doesn't it? But let me explain. Some scammers convince victims that their money is in danger. Then they claim the solution is to move funds into a safe account. The victim believes they're protecting their savings. In reality, they're transferring money directly to criminals. The account isn't safe. It's controlled by the scammer. And once the money leaves, recovery can become extremely difficult. This is one reason financial institutions and consumer protection agencies frequently remind customers to be cautious about unexpected requests involving transfers, gift cards, cryptocurrency, or unusual payment methods. Most people never hear about this until someone they know becomes a victim. And here's where things become serious. Scammers often target emotions before they target money: fear, urgency, trust, responsibility. Imagine somebody tells you that criminals are actively trying to drain your account. Your focus immediately shifts toward protection. You're no longer calmly evaluating every detail. You're trying to solve a problem. That emotional shift can make people vulnerable. Again, this isn't about being foolish. It's about being human. We all respond emotionally when we believe something valuable is at risk. And few things feel more valuable than retirement savings. Let's say someone spent 30 years building a nest egg. Every paycheck, every contribution, every sacrifice. Then a caller convinces them that immediate action is necessary. A single decision made during a stressful phone call could have consequences that last for years. Think about that. That's why awareness matters so much, because there's another detail many people overlook. Scammers frequently adapt their stories to current events. If tax season is approaching, they may mention taxes. If identity theft is in the news, they may mention identity theft. If banking security is being discussed publicly, they may mention banking security. They pay attention to what people are already worried about. Then they build a story around those concerns. That's one reason no single warning sign catches every scam. The stories change. The tactics change. The technology changes. But the underlying goal remains the same. Gain trust, create urgency, obtain information or money. And here's the surprising part. Sometimes the safest action feels counterintuitive. Many experts recommend ending unexpected calls and contacting organizations directly using official phone numbers from bank statements, official websites, or the back of your card. Not the number provided by the caller, the number you independently verify. That simple habit can dramatically reduce risk. But there's another change you need to know about. Text messages are increasingly being used alongside phone calls. A person may receive a text about suspicious account activity. Then a phone call follows. Because the text arrived first, the phone call feels more legitimate. The two pieces appear connected. The scammer understands this psychological effect. The more pieces of the story they can provide, the more believable the story becomes. You might receive an email, then a text, then a call. Each contact reinforces the others. And before long, the entire scenario feels real. That's why experts often encourage people to slow down verification processes rather than speed them up. Scammers want speed. Verification requires patience. Now let's talk about some practical warning signs. If someone unexpectedly contacts you and immediately creates urgency, pay attention. If they request personal information, pay attention. If they ask for passwords, pay attention. If they ask for verification codes sent to your phone, pay attention. If they pressure you to move money, pay attention. If they discourage you from speaking with others, pay attention. None of these signs automatically prove fraud, but together they should trigger caution. And here's something else many people don't realize. Verification codes are often more important than people think. Those codes may provide access to accounts. A scammer who obtains one-time security codes may be attempting to bypass protections. That's why legitimate organizations frequently remind customers not to share those codes with unexpected callers. What happens next is important. Let's discuss family conversations. This may sound simple, but it can be incredibly effective. Talk openly with trusted family members about scams. Discuss scenarios. Discuss warning signs. Discuss what steps to take if something feels suspicious. Why does this matter? Because preparation reduces emotional decision-making. When people have already discussed possible situations, they're more likely to recognize red flags. They already have a plan, and plans are powerful. A prepared person often reacts differently than an unprepared person. Now, imagine a retired couple. One spouse receives a concerning call. Instead of acting immediately, they have an agreement. No major financial decisions during unexpected calls. They hang up. They verify independently. That simple rule can prevent enormous losses. The bigger issue is that scammers depend on isolation and urgency. Preparation disrupts both, and that's exactly what we want. Awareness, preparation, verification. Those three habits can make a huge difference. But that's not the end of the story, because some victims experience something many people never expect. Embarrassment. After a scam occurs, people often hesitate to report it. They're worried about being judged. They're worried about what friends or family might think. They're worried about appearing careless. Unfortunately, that silence can help scammers continue targeting others. Consumer advocates often encourage reporting suspected scams to appropriate authorities and financial institutions because reports help identify patterns and alert others. Reporting also creates opportunities for guidance and possible intervention, depending on the circumstances. The sooner suspicious activity is addressed, the better. And here's a point that deserves emphasis. No one is immune. Not retirees, not professionals, not technology experts, not people who consider themselves cautious. Scams work because they exploit human psychology. That's why education remains one of the strongest defenses available. Knowledge creates resistance. Awareness creates hesitation. Verification creates protection. So if you're wondering what practical steps you should take starting today, here are a few simple actions. First, never feel pressured to act immediately during an unexpected financial call. Urgency is often the scammer's greatest weapon. Second, independently verify any claim involving your accounts. Use official contact information you trust. Third, never share passwords or security codes with unexpected callers. Fourth, discuss scam scenarios with family members and trusted friends. Fifth, monitor financial accounts regularly and review activity carefully. Sixth, if something feels wrong, pause the transaction process and verify before proceeding. Those habits may seem basic, but basic habits often prevent major losses. And honestly, that's what protection usually looks like. Not complicated technology, not secret tricks, consistent caution, reliable verification, good communication. Pause. Now think about the woman we discussed at the beginning. She didn't wake up that morning planning to lose money. She believed she was protecting herself. That's what makes these situations so difficult. The danger wasn't obvious. The caller sounded helpful. The instructions sounded reasonable. The urgency felt real. And that's exactly why awareness matters, because the next call could target anyone. A friend, a neighbor, a sibling, a spouse, or even you. The goal isn't to live in fear. The goal is to stay informed. When you understand how these scams work, you dramatically improve your chances of recognizing them before money is lost. And that's a powerful advantage. If this video helped you, share it with someone you care about. Someone you know could be affected by this and may have absolutely no idea these tactics are being used. Sending them this information could save them money, stress, and a very painful experience. I'd also like to hear from you. Have you ever received a suspicious phone call claiming to be from a bank, government agency, retailer, or fraud department? Tell us about it in the comments. Your experience could help someone else recognize a warning sign before it's too late. And if you found value in this video, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This channel is for people who want to stay one step ahead. People who refuse to be caught off guard when threats affect their money, retirement, financial security, family, or future. New risks emerge all the time, and many people don't hear about them until after the damage is done. Stay informed, stay cautious, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video.